look like you got a bit of a kind of cowlick in the front.
Yeah.
That should help not making it so flat. Which is good, but I think it's really important just to work with how your hair sits naturally. You know, if you're concerned with it going flat, it's best to kind of work with something that you know is gonna hold.
Have any of you had any trials or anything yet? Have you, or played around with it yourself? Or
I'm
quite new to it.
Curly at the back, it's coming down, but saying that they said my hair's quite fine.
Right.
And although it held okay at the back because it's all coming down, but bits at the side, within a few hours it'll be an out straight.
right, okay. So then you might need to look at sort of, even though, yeah, like you said, when it was down at first it looked quite pretty, you don't really want it to drop out halfway through. So either, right, you know, maybe I'd test using different products. You know, it might be this specific products, or you know, you could just try doing something where you worked with it maybe more, all of it up if you really wanted to keep it looking a lot sharper. Or had it down and maybe you didn't. Do you definitely want it curly then?
Yeah, I'd like some curls, but I'd like more. I want it up with a bit down.
Something down.
But I want more height as well on top of it. Height, so, but maybe not as fancy as it was at the back. My dress has got a lot of detail to it.
Right,
So
okay.
Something maybe a bit more sleeker, a bit more simple. Instead of curls.
Yeah. I mean, there is so many things you just need to really, like, I guess in your case, because you're not sure and you want to see what works with your hair, have, you know, a couple of hours to really try out just what's going to work, and then the one that you do like, maybe go home and see how long it lasts before the day. If not, what would you say to keep hair to sort of stay?
I mean, it is like you say, it's the preparation product, so the product that's used when you start, and then obviously the finishing product, which would be hairspray, but it's always a tricky one because you don't want to use too much hairspray because you don't want it to look stiff, you want it to look natural. So it's just finding a hairspray that doesn't give that kind of crispy look to it.
Because you do have to use obviously a lot more products than you usually would, because obviously you've got to think how long you want it to last, but you don't want it to go white and, you know, start flaking all the hairspray that's in it. Very nice on the pictures. So yeah, I think again products is quite important, what you use.
So we're going to try a couple of different tiaras. I'm going to start with doing more kind of a sweepy fill to the front, and we're going to try on one of the lovely tiaras with a little veil on it, and then we can take it out and do something else. But I'll finish the back properly. I don't know if you want to stand up and do a quick
Yeah.
So it's kind of all up quite. She's got very, very long hair naturally, it's dead straight, which can be the hardest hair really to put up. If you've got a little bit of a wave to it, or even really curly, it just holds a lot easier.
At the end of the evening, there'll also be time for you to go and try on the tiaras yourself if you want to kind of have a look at them and maybe get some advice of what you think suits you and suits your shape face. Leanne's here, and they're actually all of her tiaras. So if you'd actually like to speak to her personally about different types that are available, kind of what's very popular, or you know, how it will be made to buy in advance and things like that, she's also here tonight to answer your questions.
I'm just finishing off here. This is a lot more of a sort of simple, but I think very pretty look that we've gone for with Marie. Pull it all out. Using the GHDs, you can get so many different size curls basically. If you want something sort of maybe a bit more glamorous, you want really sort of big curls, maybe you've got the larger size GHDs that you can have something a bit more wavy, a bit more sort of Hollywood big curls, or if you want something just a bit more sort of pretty, slightly tighter sort of ringlets. It will drop out a little bit, but you'll have a bit more of a slightly, you know, it will just drop out a bit more of a softer look. This is probably nice to use with maybe slightly smaller curls on longer hair. It will go very, very ringlety if you curl it quite tight when it's sort of quite short. But you know, we've left the fringe down in this case, so I'm going to just try out. I'm not sure exactly which one I'm going to try out some of the tiaras and headpieces, because it's quite nice to have a little bit of hair in front as well as having a headpiece rather than it all back. But yeah, if you've got a fringe, you know, you can still keep your fringe and have other bits of it back and some bits of it down. You don't, you know, have to wear out your fringe at all if you want to put some of your hair up, basically.
Have you got any ideas for kind of some up and some down?
Pardon?
Have you got any ideas for what you could do to have bits?
Some bits up and some bits down. Yeah, I mean, there's lots you can do. I've sort of been working on just like a little bit of a tiny bit of beehive here, with just a little bit of a fringe. But you can sort of, right now it's quite popular, sort of quite, not hippie-ish, but you know, slightly twisted. At the moment you can see in quite a lot of the magazines, people are wearing it a little bit flatter again and sort of twisting bits back that can look very pretty with some nice curls, especially sort of in the summer, rather than having it quite so set looking. I mean, you could go for something like, you could really go for some sort of 50s, really big beehives you could do, and that just means we just back comb it those even more and have something bigger, and then you can have the rest down straight or curly. What else would you say? It depends how much up you want, really, because you can really have most of it down and just pieces of it twisted around, pinned back. You could have it all sort of, you know, quite flat. It depends what parting you want it in as well. If you want a bit of height, or if you do want it flatter. But I think half up, half down is sort of quite a popular one, because people don't really know if they want it up or down. So I guess they just have it half up, half down. So yeah, play around with it. So bear with me. Very pretty hair.
You've got like a bigger tiara, you need more volume in your hair. Do you not think it matters the amount of volume you've got to the size of the tiara?
I think it really depends on how much you want to show off your tiara, basically. Obviously, if your hair is huge, your tiara is not really going to be, you know, you're going to look at you and see huge hair rather than the tiara straight away. So if you really, really want to show off your tiara, then I think most people would have it a bit flatter and very sort of a bit more simple, so that you can just, that'll be what you look at straight away. But in order, do you mean to keep it in place? Should it be?
No, like to look kind of, so it looks in proportion.
It depends on the size of the tiara, really, but I think you can work around it. It really is up to how much you want to show it off, really.
I mean, I think personally, if you're quite a small girl, if you're quite petite and quite little, I think you need to be careful with how big you make the hair and how big tiara you got, because it's really easy that it gets taken over. You know, you see these brides with big meringue dresses and got big hair and big nails and big veils and big tiaras, and you can't actually see them. And in the end of the day, it's your day, and you know, of course, if you want to look beautiful, but don't let it. I wouldn't say go too big. And the taller you are, the bigger you are, you can get away with bigger hair. But I think if you're quite little and petite, maybe keep it a bit more simple. So I'm just going to try this on first. I mean, with the fringe hair now, you could just kind of have these bits up with the fringe and have the rest down in the back, or you could do the fringe completely different. But it's just, I quite like this. It's slightly kind of 50s style to it, but so this is really, really nice. It's got some kind of little curls that kind of hangs up on the side, and it's got a heart in the